Welcome back to this week's episode of the Dead Air Records podcast. My name is Jess.
And I'm Mark.
And we are your hosts and also the owners of a small independent record shop based in Liverpool called Dead Air Records. We started this podcast because we wanted to talk about music and vinyl and share some amazing things that come across the counter, but most importantly, talk about all the local talent and bands that are happening here in the city. This week's episode is a special one. Well, it's going to be a special one. It's going to be a bit of a heated one. If you tuned in for the 1997 versus 2007 battle, we thought we'd bring it back a little bit more of that energy. Do you want to tell us more about it, Mark?
This week, it's war.
So this week, we're going to be talking about Radiohead albums, all the discography, and most importantly, we're going to be ranking them from best to worst.
Well, I think it's pretty interesting. We're both massive Radiohead fans.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say probably one of my all-time favourite bands. But interestingly, we came into Radiohead at different points in their discography. And so we have very mixed opinions about the ranking of their albums.
For sure. One of us has the correct opinion and one of us has the wrong opinion.
You have the wrong opinion.
Well,
I am certain that when the court of public opinion comes in, they're going to side with me.
Well, that's not fair because I feel like you won the 1997 debate, even though I feel like I put up a good fight for 2007.
Yeah.
And initially it was looking like I was going to win, and then 24 hours passed and I had to admit defeat.
The inevitable happened.
So hopefully I won't be wrong again twice
You're not wrong.
in a row.
It's subjective, totally.
Completely. And I think, well, that's kind of what brings it back to why we wanted to start the shop in the first place. Like, Mark and I don't believe in any like snobbery or hierarchy in music or music taste. Everyone's opinion is completely valid. Everybody gets into things at different times and for different reasons. So it's interesting to talk about what we consider are the best albums. And obviously I hope that sparks a bit of conversation between you and your friends as well.
Cool. So should we just rip the plaster off and just go ahead with the rankings?
Yeah. So do you want me to share mine first?
I think it's important to say we don't know. We haven't spoken about this really ahead of time. So I'm really curious to see what your rankings are. So
okay.
You just go first.
So how about I'll go through what I think is ranked. There's 9 albums that we're going to be looking at across the discography.
Yep.
So I'll go through what I think is from the worst to the best.
Okay, cool.
Then you'll go through yours, and then maybe let's go through the albums in their discography order and think about why we want to rank them in that place.
Sounds cool.
We've also brought some special bits in from our collection to do with Radiohead as well. We shared a couple of things in that 1997-2007 episode, but we brought a few more bits in as well, which will be quite nice. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple and you fancy having a look at that, head over to our YouTube, subscribe and watch this video episode there too.
Yeah. And if you're not a Radiohead fan, we apologise. This whole episode is going to be about Radiohead.
You can skip about 15 minutes in and maybe just go to some of the nice records we've got across the counter later on. But hey, stick around.
Okay, let's go.
So, coming in at number 9, Pablo Honey. The first album, the worst album. Coming in at number 8 for me is The Bends. Your reactions are telling me that you don't agree. I'll just whip through these really quickly and then we can get into yours and dig it a little deeper. Number 7, King of Limbs. Number 6, A Moon-Shaped Pool. Number 5, Amnesiac. Number 4, Kid A. Number 3, OK Computer, Take Your Head Out of Your Hands Immediately. Number 2, In Rainbows, which means the album that I've ranked in the number 1 spot, which is quite controversial, I think, against like other people's opinions and definitely by the state of your face. I'm imagining you disagree as well. For me, number 1, Hail to the Thief. Boom.
Number 9, Hail to the Thief.
No!
Yeah, number 9.
Why is this a personal vendetta again? Sorry, we'll get into it in a bit.
Number 9, Hail to the Thief. Number 8, King of Limbs. 7, Pablo Honey. 6, In Rainbows.
What?
Yep. Number 5, OK Computer. 4, The Bends. 3, Moon-Shaped Pool. 2, Amnesiac. And number 1, Kid A. This is wild. I can't believe we're so far apart. That's wild.
Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was a shock, actually. I thought it was going to be a bit more straightforward.
I can't believe how low you've rated, like, In Rainbows. Like, that usually comes in, like, most Radiohead fans, like, top 4 at least.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well... All right, well, I guess we're going to have to go through this.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so should we start with Pablo Honey then?
Okay, well...
It's 1993. The debut comes out.
You've put this as the worst album.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And I listened back to it again for this episode.
Yeah.
And I agree with myself. It is the worst album. It's 93. It's a solid debut. It's a good album. I think that's the other thing we should say as well. There's probably no bad albums. They're all good. It's just, someone's got to come last, and it's Pablo Honey.
It's Hail to the Thief. Anyway, let me make the case for Pablo Honey.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, on a personal level, nostalgia, I know, right? But
Let it go, man.
no, savage, right? I was there around the time,
Okay,
right?
I understand that's important.
It was, but the biggest song of Radiohead's career is on that album, right? So number one straight away, Creep is like a reason for it not to be the worst album, right? Then it has lovely tracks, and if you were a sad boy in the 90s like I was, right? Sad boy 90s stuff. Creep, when it first came out, was like an anthem, a hymn.
Well, did you actually know that when it got released in the UK, it was panned? It was not a hit. And then they had to re-release it a year later with the album. And then it was a massive hit in the US. And then it took off here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, that Thinking About You, Anyone Can Play Guitar, Stop Whispering. These were all like big deals.
Yeah, and on the subject, and for a lot of people, on the subject of Creep, though, I will share this, which we've brought in from home, which is quite nice. So this is, let me just get it out really carefully. This is a 7-inch green transparent single for Creep on one side and Anyone Can Play Guitar on the other side.
Massive hit.
Two massive hits.
Yeah.
And this is a jukebox single, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are like really limited. 1993. It doesn't come in the original capital burgundy sleeve anymore, which would match the label, sadly. But yeah, this is a really nice thing to have in the collection. I looked at these on Discogs and these go for like...
Stupid.
Yeah. Silly money for such a small thing.
Yeah.
Like 125
Because it's their best song.
Oh.
From
Wait a minute, I'm not here to support your case.
From a decent album.
Okay,
right.
So Pablo Honey, I put in 9th position. What position did you put it in?
I put it in 7th, which is
still low.
Guaranteed fairly low, but that is only because of the caliber of the rest of the stuff. It's still higher than some of the other albums because of the great tracks that are on there. When I listened back to it, I just thought it was a beautiful debut. It opens incredible. There's some really heartfelt tracks on it. I just felt like some of those songs really like forecast where the band are going and all the rest of it.
Does it?
I think
it's a guitar album. I don't really like that forecasts where they were going.
Well, okay. All right.
Should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on to the next album, which you've also put very low.
Yeah.
You've put it at number 8. I put it at number 4. I can't believe this. You're going to put the Bends on blast like that.
The vernacular. Yeah. I've put the Bends as number 8. And do you know what I've written in my notes?
Go on.
It's fine. That's all I've written.
So,
do you want to make the case for the Bends, seeing as you disagree?
I guess I'm going to have to make the case for all of these great albums.
Oh, God.
Okay,
I'm sure as we get higher up in the rankings, I'll step into making my case as well.
Let me paint you a picture.
Paint it.
Okay. Young Mark, right?
Is this the same picture that you're painting for Pablo Honey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Young Mark, right, was born at a time when there wasn't great technology, right? I didn't even have a CD player at this point. Well, I was just about to get one for Christmas,
Ooh,
okay?
That's exciting.
And so what I had was a little Walkman that had a radio thing, right?
Nice,
a little radio station thing. And I used to sneak it to bed and listen to it, like,
what kind of headphones?
Like those really crap ones.
Like American Psycho style headphones?
Yeah, the little button things with the metal band.
Yeah,
right.
The most uncomfortable thing to wear.
Yeah, totally. So I was wearing those. It's the middle of the night, right? Listening to the only radio station I could get, which was a golden oldies, The Bay Radio, right?
Shout out to Morecambe.
Shout out to The Bay Radio.
Shout out to The Bay Radio.
Yeah. Okay, so it's the middle of the night. I'm listening to Patrick Swayze or whatever it was, right?
On the radio.
On the radio. And all of a sudden I get Radio 1 and I hear Just for the first time, right? And I'm sat in bed electrified. I don't think I slept for the entire evening. And everything changed for me at that point. I heard Just for the first time and I was like, I need to be in a band. That was what happened to me, right? I went, I need to be in a band. And so then I tried and failed at being in a band. Anyway, this album, like for me at the time, it's the first album I ever bought on CD.
Yeah.
It's a blast from start to finish, right? It's just an incredible album. The fact that you would put that at number 8 is incredible to me. You're going to have to tell me why you think it's fine.
I don't know if it's one of the... I think because...
Unbelievable.
And maybe it's falling victim to the fact that I've just heard the songs too many times, potentially, which I guess can cloud judgment. I'll be fair in that. But yeah, I mean, again, they're not bad songs. It's just I have other albums.
They're not bad songs.
They're they're great songs.
High and Dry, Fake Plastic Trees, Just My
Again,
Iron Lung,
it's just a bit
Street Spirit.
I can see them here. Thank you for naming out the track list.
Come on, Jess.
I think for me, it's just a little bit more. It's in this sort of guitar and electronic spectrum of where Radiohead fall. I think my tastes fall more into their electronic and experimental stuff. So I just ranked the less experimental albums a little bit lower down. They have their place.
Yeah.
But it's at the bottom of the list.
Okay, well, all right. Let's move on. I just want to say, you say experimental and blah blah blah, but the next one down on your list was The King of Limbs, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, so OK Computer,
Yes.
widely regarded as one of the greatest albums of all time. Not according to some YouTube comments from the 1997-2007 video, but there we go. But yeah, widely...
OK Computer. I don't think we're far off from this.
I think it's pretty
OK
straightforward.
Computer. This is a copy of OK Not OK, which was like the reissue that came out a couple of years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll open this up in a little minute and take a look at the artwork for that. But yeah, OK Computer, for me, ranks number 3, really high up in the list.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, for me as well, so obviously I'd bought the Bends on CD, and then it was like a big wait until the next thing came out.
Yeah.
And so hearing, like I said in the previous episode, my Glastonbury trip that never happened, hearing Paranoid Android for the first time, it's a different thing after the Bends. It's a completely different band. It's just gone off in a different direction, and ends up becoming pretty much an undeniable thing. I will say that I kind of struggle now to listen to it because I've heard it just so many times, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, a hell of a record, like undeniable, really.
Did you know that it was recorded in like a haunted mansion in Bath
What?
at the time?
I
And
didn't
Tom
know
York
that.
in an interview said he thought he was losing his mind while recording this album.
You're joking.
Yeah.
Climbing up the walls kind of makes a bit more sense, right?
That makes sense. Yeah. It kind of gives it a bit of context there. And also, have you heard about the fan theory that connects OK Computer and In Rainbows together?
No.
So In Rainbows came out on the 10th of October. So like 10. It's like a number-based fan theory. And like there's 10 years in between OK Computer and In Rainbows. And people think if you play OK Computer and In Rainbows, sort of if you go like track 1 Airbag on OK Computer and then go track 1 like 15 step on In Rainbows and then go back and forth, that it's like a seamless play.
Oh, wow.
And then people like questioned whether they're like a dual album together.
Interesting.
Anyway, fan theory. I don't
Good
know
stuff.
if it holds up in anything. But yeah.
So where did you put it? You put it at...
Number 3. For me, it rates really highly. Like it's for me, this is one of the classic Radiohead albums.
I put it at number 5 because I had the Bends at number 4. I know I had the Bends above this just because I guess nostalgia kind of plays a part of it. I think with any listing of favorite albums, nostalgia plays a part. But yeah, for me, I think I've overplayed it, and I think that's why I put the Bends kind of above it. Plus, the Bends it's just seamless. I guess this is as well, though. It's a tricky one. It is a tricky one.
I feel like this really, you were talking about the Bends setting the trajectory for Radiohead, but I feel like that's what OK Computer did.
Yeah.
Rather than the Bends or Pablo Honey. I feel like that is the guitar phase. Like you have a very guitar album with Pablo Honey, then you start to get a bit more experimental with the Bends, and then this really sets the scene.
Just goes off, right?
Yeah.
But then we go off to Kid A, which to me is the pinnacle of Radiohead. Like for me anyway, I think Kid A, they after OK Computer, after you've done that, like where do you go? Like how do you improve upon that, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of just fizzled into the atmosphere and became this completely different thing again. And for me, I'll be honest, I remember this coming out and I remember hearing it and being like, oh, I'm not sure if I like it. And a lot of people found it controversial at the time, and kind of a lot of people checked out. And I think in later years, it's become this magnum opus. People think it's just an incredible album. I love it. It's my favorite Radiohead record.
Did you know it took the longest amount of time out of all of their albums? It was the one they'd spent the longest time on.
I reckon it must have been terrifying for them as well, because they know they're taking this big gamble. Like they already have these amazing albums in the bag, but they're turning it on its head and doing something totally different.
Yeah. So it took 18 months to write and record solidly to produce it.
That's incredible.
But yeah, this one we have is Kid Amnesia, which is Kid A, and also boom,
Amnesiac
Amnesiac on the other side.
Yeah.
So that's a double album that they released. And obviously those two albums, they talk about being a partner to each other anyway.
Yeah. So you had that at number 4.
Number 4, yeah.
So we
It's
kind
high
of
up.
agree, right? But
Okay, glad we can agree on one album at least.
yeah.
Where did you have it? Number 3?
I had it at number 1.
Oh.
It's my favourite Radiohead album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we're not too far off then in terms of agreement.
I think this will divide us slightly. So we're going to talk about Amnesiac. This is my number 2 album.
Wow. So for you, Kid A number 1, Amnesiac number 2.
Yeah.
You're like, this is the moment. These are the two complementary albums that go together. These are your favourite ones.
I just think so, yeah. For me, it's like these two things together are like just a really special like moment in their career. And I feel like after this, it's kind of a little bit back and forth. Like there are a few sort of gambles that they've taken, but I just feel like Kid A and Amnesiac are just a brilliant 1-2 gut punch.
I do love Life in a Glass House on
Yeah.
there. I feel like that's the only time the band kind of leans into like a jazz-esque
It's just
like influence. And
what a
it's
beautiful ending.
It's an incredible album.
It's haunting, but it's not just that. It's all across the track listing. It's Pyramid Song.
yeah.
It's Knives Out. It's I might be wrong. I'm looking at the track listing here. But Life in a Glass House just ends it with this just ethereal, amazing thing.
Some
And
people say that it's like a more listenable album versus Kid A.
it's not. Come on.
You don't reckon?
Well, I think there's a bit more instrumentation. I don't know. There's more instrumental sections in it, and I just feel like it's. Yeah, I love it though. I love listening to them together, but I do feel like when it first came out, I really didn't like this record. I'll be honest. I really didn't like it at all. But now I've grown to absolutely love it. And so, yeah, my number 2 record. You've got this at number 5.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just right in the middle. And then also, didn't say with this, it comes with like rarities and offcuts, doesn't it, from the 2 companion albums as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, I guess what I've done similarly to you is I've put Kid A at 4 and Amnesiac at 5. So I kind of always see them as one.
They do feel like a
They
singular
do feel
piece,
like
right?
one. And I guess that's how the band felt as well, because that's why they followed up with Amnesiac.
Yeah.
So yeah, but okay, so we've put them both together just in both different places.
Yeah, yours in the wrong places and mine in the right places. I'm joking. Right.
Well,
So should we talk about this? You're going to have to make the case here. This is the worst Radiohead album. This is your favorite Radiohead album.
it is.
Right.
It is. It's my favorite one.
Tell me why.
So Hail to the Thief came out in 2003. It's also, we were just talking about how Kid A was the longest amount of time that the band took to record an album, 18 months. They wrote this and recorded this in 2 weeks in LA.
Wow.
Super quick. And I feel like that's what you get across when you listen to it. It's the rawest of all the albums for me. There's like an urgency to it. It is really experimental, but at the same time, it's just like quick, get the tracks down, and that's what you hear through it. It's one of the reasons that I've always loved Radiohead's music is because of how meticulous it is and the attention to detail. And I feel like that's just like a really confident album because it has all the attention to detail, but it's done in such a short period of time. It's also got loads of political themes in there. So that all the lyrics talk about dealing with fear and propaganda. Obviously coming out in 2003. That was a very particular time in the world at that time.
Yeah.
Across like Western Europe and also
was
the
big
US
time.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that brings in all of those elements as well.
Yeah.
It's like a very timely album. And then, yeah, maybe for me, it's a little bit of nostalgia as well. So I kind of came into Radiohead probably, more around In Rainbows.
Okay.
So I was 13 when Hail to the Thief came out.
Oh my God.
I remember having it on
God.
CD. I remember going off to HMV, buying it on CD, but that probably wasn't until about 2004 or 5.
Okay.
And then I saw them in Blackpool. Shout out to Blackpool.
Oh my God.
Empress Ballroom in 2006.
Yeah.
And in fact, that was the first time I saw someone get shushed at a gig, which was pretty funny to witness.
I love people who shush people at gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, I can't believe someone would do that. And now when I go see someone, like,
You're like, I wish you'd shut up.
well, it's just, if you want to have a chat, have it outside.
Yeah.
Have it
Yeah,
before
yeah.
the gig. Have it in the bar.
Especially Radiohead.
Yeah. So I kind of get that. It wasn't me that was being shushed, by the way. I feel like I need to back that up. But yeah, also, yeah. And I think it was just an event. It's one of those things in my life. I remember my dad dropping me off in Blackpool on a Saturday morning at 4:30 a.m. so I could queue up and buy tickets, because you had to go buy tickets in person.
Yeah.
And you could only have like 2 tickets per person, and there was just like a little queue of people outside the Winter Gardens. But yeah, so elements of nostalgia, elements of urgency, the thematics that are in the album, the sound. I just love the opener, 2 + 2 = 5. That's a massive track for me.
Okay, listen.
And also how it plays out with A Wolf at the Door. Stop trying to interrupt me when I'm making my case.
This album is nearly an hour long.
Exactly.
It's the longest album in the whole collection.
More bang for your buck.
Oh, it's such a slog to listen to.
It's not a slog.
It's a slog. Anyway, look, I'm not going to... I know you love this record, and we have a poster of it
Also,
in the house,
I think it's my favourite artwork. So
it is gorgeous.
Yeah, Radiohead worked with the artist Stanley Donwood a lot throughout all the album covers. We have a nice print of that at home as well. It's very special. And yeah, I just love it.
Yeah. Okay, well, for me, it's just the worst album. It's like, it's the one that I've probably listened to the least, so I probably haven't given it credit where credit's due.
Do you want a little fun fact about it as well?
Go on.
So it was originally going to be called The Gloaming, which obviously they changed the title, but that track, they took that name and called one of the tracks The Gloaming on there. So
nice.
A little bit of information for you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Does that change your mind?
Not at all. Not at all. After Hail to the Thief came In Rainbows, which I'm going to get a lot of stick for this. Number. I actually have it quite far down. I have it at number 6.
What?
I know. Look, I'm going to make the case. I kind of feel like it's a long album. I kind of...
What's your thing against long albums?
I just kind of feel like it drags on a little bit. And, I remember it coming out with the pay what you want method.
Yeah,
it was a free download. It was the time that downloads were just coming out. And I paid nothing.
We talked about this in the previous episode, didn't we? Yeah. A crime.
A crime.
I paid £5.
Okay. That's still a crime.
Well, all right. I was 17.
£5 was a lot. So look, In Rainbows, I kind of just can't put it above OK Computer or the Bends or the ones that I'm going to talk about later. I can't really put it above those.
Yeah, I guess we should also say In Rainbows is the only record that we don't have here. It's one of the most popular ones in the shop. It literally sold like yesterday before we recorded this podcast. So maybe we'll put up a little picture here and then that's where it will be.
So you have it really quite high.
Yeah, so I put In Rainbows at number 2. For me, it goes Hail to the Thief number 1, In Rainbows number 2. Similar to, how we talked about Hail to the Thief, like In Rainbows was one of the albums that I was sort of like, the anticipation building up to the release, I was part of like that. They announced it like 10 days before the album was coming out.
That's
so you
crazy.
literally were like, Radiohead have a new album coming out. 10 days later, it was out.
Yeah.
You could pay what you want to download it. It really disrupted the music industry at the time as well.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was a huge deal.
Yeah.
And they had just left EMI as well.
Yeah.
And then they were like, fuck it, we're just going to release it on our own terms. And then EMI were absolutely fuming. And they made more this kind of like, breaks my case for Hail to the Thief, but they made more money from the downloads of In Rainbows with a pay what you can method than across the whole sales for Hail to the Thief or physical media and everything, which helps me make the case for In Rainbows, but maybe damages my case for Hail to the Thief. But it's not about the money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's the grooviest album, like in terms of the grooves and like 15 Step, Reckoner, Weird Fishes. Like I love In Rainbows.
Here's the thing. I kind of feel as though within Rainbows, and with Hail to the Thief, that they kind of didn't really know where to go anymore, right? Because well, this is what I feel like, because there was development between Pablo Honey, the Bends, and OK Computer, and then they went wildly like different with Kid A and Amnesiac, and then they kind of went back to being almost a guitar band with Hail to the Thief. And then they went... I
wouldn't say it's a guitar. Like, I feel like Hail to the Thief is the perfect blend of their guitar sound and then their electronic sound. I feel like you start off with these guitar albums, then they go very electronic with OK Computer and Kid A and obviously Amnesiac. And then it moves into like, okay, now we're going to blend these sounds together. And it's a really, really, really comprehensive, like refined sound of where they want to go.
Yeah,
That's why I put them at number 1 and number 2.
I know In Rainbows is probably the most popular one in the shop, like you said. So I know I'm going to get a lot of stick for that. Number 6.
It's great. And I also saw them on that tour as well in Victoria Park. Thanks to my godparents. So yeah, that was amazing as well to see them in 2008.
Cool. Okay, we're going to move on.
Okay, let's move on.
So next we're going to talk about King of Limbs.
Yeah.
Look, I think we both agree that this is fairly far down on the ranking.
Yeah, so I put this at number 7. What did you put it at?
I put it at number 8.
Okay.
The reason being, I feel like it's more of a Tom York record. Or should I say, it sounds like a Tom York record. It doesn't really sound like a Radiohead album. I do like this record, but when I listen to it, I kind of just think it's one of his records. I
feel like it feels more like an experiment than a fully developed album.
Yeah. It is good though. It's like a really solid record, but it's just, look at this artwork here. Is this Stanley Donwood again? I don't know.
I'm not too sure. I don't think it is on that album.
And it's beautiful. It is great. But I just don't get the vibe of a Radiohead record when I listen to this.
No.
And I think that's the same for both of us. Do you want to say anything more about it? Or are we done? Are we done with King of Limbs?
Yeah, I think it's for me. Yeah, obviously I went Pablo Honey number 9, the Bends number 8, King of Limbs number 7. Again, it's just for me. It exists.
Last one.
A moon-shaped pool.
Okay, so I've got a really cool version of it here. So
Moon-shaped pool was released in 2016.
For me, I've put this at number 3.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, the reason I say this, right? I kind of love this album. I did again at first. I was kind of like, nah, it's all right. But the more I've listened to it, the more it feels like it's always been there. And I kind of feel there's tracks on there that sound like they've always existed in the canon of Radiohead. So for me, it's been a real grower. And now for me, it's better than OK Computer. It's better than the Bends. It's better than In Rainbows. Like, I love this record.
So for you, we were talking about how, like, I feel like In Rainbows is like the perfect blend of all of their sounds. For you, do you think it's a moon-shaped pool?
Yeah, I kind of feel like a moon-shaped pool should have come after Amnesiac. It kind of feels like that would have been the perfect place for it.
Yeah.
And so, I listen to it now and I just think, Daydreaming, Dex Dark, Burn the Witch, like all these tracks are just like, they feel like they've been there forever.
Yeah. So what's this special edition that we've got?
So this was really cool. This is the deluxe edition that came out at the time, sold out very quickly. This is like a strip that goes around it. But this is a strip they made from the first 3 albums. So it's actual tape from the first 3 albums.
I hope it's not Pablo Honey.
Savage. Absolutely savage.
Sorry.
Okay, so they said that the tapes were about to disintegrate, and they thought rather than let them just go in the bin, that they would make them into strips for the deluxe edition.
Nice.
It's really cool.
And from the original recordings as well.
And so there's.
I'd love to be able to know what clip we have.
There's so many lovely images in this booklet. Fabric images as well, and it's just a really cool deluxe edition. Radiohead always push the boat out for the deluxe editions.
Yeah, they really do.
I really feel like they give us such a good...
The artwork for this album is so nice. We have a really nice print from their tour they did, didn't they, when we watched them at Old Trafford.
So, interestingly, the only time that I've seen Radiohead was at Old Trafford.
That's a crime.
Yeah, and they were due to play at the arena, and then the unthinkable happened with the Ariana Grande concert.
Yeah, it was 2017, wasn't it? And I think we were due to go and see them. It was like a month after that had happened, so they moved the gig to Old Trafford. Yeah, and I remember at the time, obviously the most horrendous thing had happened, and there was like this atmosphere when you got to Old Trafford that everyone was like very like concerned and sort of like on edge a little bit. Obviously there was like more enforced security because that was a natural kind of thing to come off the back of what had happened. And there was just a bit of nervousness around, and also because the circumstances had changed in terms of where the gig was, and that it was very different atmosphere and environment because now we were outside at Old Trafford rather than like inside in an arena. And I remember just like getting in and then us just like chilling out at the back, and watching it, and it was my
so
beautiful.
first Radiohead experience, and I'll be honest, I kind of felt a little bit about it because it was daytime, the sound was getting blown everywhere.
Yeah, it was in the summer, wasn't it? So the lights hadn't set yet before they came on,
and it was just, I'd love to see Radiohead like indoors with the light show and, but anyway, that was my only experience.
Yeah, they kind of
live.
thrive in a controlled environment where they can kind of set that environment, and it's hard to do that when you're outside.
Yeah, for sure. We also have a standard edition moon-shaped pool here, which is also gorgeous. So I put this at number 3. I kind of feel like it's always been there, and you put this at number 6, like you just discard it, like it doesn't matter.
Number 6 isn't a discarded position.
when it's out of 9, I mean,
for me it is a beautiful album. But
it's fine.
No, that's my comment for the Bends. It's a beautiful album. I do love it.
Yeah.
There's others that I favour a little bit more.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we've hashed this out.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like we've made some progress. I can't wait
for everybody to tell me you're wrong or I'm wrong or you're right or I'm right. So let us know what you think the best Radiohead album is. Let us know what your least favourite Radiohead album is.
Give us your rankings.
Yeah, give us your rankings. Drop them in the comments. And please be kind to us. Yeah. Don't tell us we're really, really wrong. Oh, everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Across the Counter. This is the part where we look at some of the rare records that have come across the counter and into the shop recently. This week, we've got a couple of box sets to share with you and also a special edition from Massive Attack as well. So, Mark, do you want to kick us off with this Joe Strummer box set?
Yeah. Oh, my. This is heavy.
The heaviest box set in the world.
Really heavy. So, this is a box set of Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros. It's the Mescalero years. So it's a deluxe box set that was released in 2022, and it brings together Joe Strummer's post-Clash work with the Mescaleros. So it's got all 3 albums, which were Rock Art and X-Ray Style, Global, Agogo, and Streetcore. And oh my God, the design work is just incredible.
It's amazing. And then there's another album in there, isn't there, which is all B-sides, rarities, demos and outtakes.
Yeah. And I love some of these albums. His Mescalero's work was really special. And, it must have been very hard for Joe Strummer to move on from the Clash, but he never wavered and he always wanted to be pushing things forward. So it comes with some lovely artwork. I'll just see if I can get it all together for you.
And then this artwork is like previously unseen, isn't it, from the Strummer archive?
Yeah, I'll just try and get some of it all together. It's all these lovely kind of designs and drawings, and there is a lovely booklet that comes with it also.
Ooh, there's so much stuff in here.
Yeah, it's just tons of stuff. Like for a collector, let me get some nice pictures. For a collector, this would just be ideal. But yeah, it's just a really lovely box set with loads of cool stuff I'm hiding here.
There's so much stuff in it that you can build a little wall around.
So yeah, a lovely Joe Strummer box set in near mint condition. I don't think it's ever been played, No. I think this was just a collector who brought it in looking to sell, and yeah, just a stunner. So if you're into the Clash, or if you're into the post-Clash Joe Strummer work, get in touch. Lovely.
Nice.
What have you got?
So this came across the counter recently, and yeah, we've this is the first time that we've had this album come in.
Yeah.
And it's been very hard not to keep it for ourselves.
I mean, it's one of the ones that's on my want list, and
You ready to let it go?
Yeah.
Potentially.
So
this is Massive Attack's Heligoland, which is their 5th studio album. Big single on here is Paradise Circus,
which is
the theme tune to Luther.
Yeah.
Awesome TV show.
Awesome TV show.
Still the reason why I'd be incredibly scared to get on the top deck of a bus.
Yeah.
To this day. But yeah, it's got, obviously it's Massive Attack, so it blends all of the trip hop, dub, electronic. It's their classic sound. Collaborators include Hope Sandoval, Martina, Topley Bird, and also Tricky, of course. This copy of it is a deluxe triple gatefold edition.
First press.
So it came out. And it's also got black glitter coated cover artwork as well.
I wonder if that can be picked up. I don't know, but
I kind of like shimmer it in a way. Maybe the glitter will. I don't think it will. So it includes 2 heavyweight records on 180 gram. It contains all of Heligoland's 10 tracks as well. But you also get a bonus 12-inch vinyl in here.
Gorgeous.
And that includes 4 additional tracks, which is the remixes too. And that's got remixes from Ryoichi Sakamoto.
Oh, wow.
And it's also got one from Gui Barato as well.
No way.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So yeah, really nice that you've got all of those in one album altogether. This is sealed, so it's mint, it's brand new. We can't open it up, unfortunately, but
So
inside
rare.
you also get a 28-page booklet, and that has lots of artwork from Robert Del Naja, and also a Massive Attack tour photography as well in there. And it's also got a CD with
Lovely.
a whole album, which comes in a nice orange slipcase too. But yeah, a lovely album. Yeah, you'll have to probably wrestle out on Mark's hands for it to be let go, but it's really, really nice.
It's one of those. I mean, it's been on my want list for years.
Yeah.
And then when I finally got it, I was like, oh my God.
Sometimes you've just got to let it go.
I'm going to have to let it go. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
But yeah, it's amazing. And it's up on our website if you're interested. Or if you just want to come and have a look at it, it's in the shop.
Cool. So next I'm going to talk about this lovely Kate Bush box set. So released in 2018, it was the second vinyl box set in a massively anticipated reissue series. So it basically brings together 3 albums from Kate Bush's back catalogue. Hounds of Love, probably one of my top 5 albums of all time. I think I say this all the time though, but genuinely,
yeah. If
Hounds
we go
of
back
Love,
in this podcast,
yeah, everything is
you'll
my
find
favourite
out
album.
that everything's in your top 5.
I know, right? But Hounds of Love, I mean, I just love that album so much. It just means so much to me. I still stick that on at least once a month, have a good listen.
What other albums has it got in it?
So it's Hounds of Love, The Sensual World, and The Red Shoes. So, I mean, in the reissue series, this is probably the one that's most sought after, just because it's got all the bangers.
classic albums.
So it comes with I'm going to try and excuse
While
me.
you try and wrestle those out, I was reading through the comments on Discogs for this one, and it's always a really good place to kind of get a sense of what people feel about the sound of the album.
Yeah.
And they were saying the remasters sound incredible on this one. So if you are a big Kate Bush fan and you're really interested in seeing how the sound is different in the remastered version, then the box sets are the ones to get.
For sure. So yeah, Sensual World.
And then
Red
Kate Bush was
Shoes.
part of the remastering process as well.
Nice.
Alongside James Guthrie, who's best known for his work with Pink Floyd.
Wow.
So he did the mastering for The Wall and The Final Cut, and is basically integral in shaping Pink Floyd's sound.
Absolutely incredible. Another one that I would like to have in the collection, but we're going to have to let it go. So it's not in press anymore, but we have it in stock at the moment. So if you're a Kate Bush fan, please let us know. So next we're going to spotlight some local talent. It's very important for us to shine a light on the local bands and people who are coming to the city. If you are a local band who have gigs or want us to shout you out, if you have new singles or anything, please let us know. It's something that we're looking to do. So Jess, what have you got?
So I wanted to bring to the podcast this week Toy Car.
Toy Car,
who I saw at Bootfest last year.
Yeah.
We know Toy Car through the shop as well.
Yeah.
Amazing band, lovely set of people. They've got a little bit of an Oasis sound, also with some energy of the early 2000s indie. Great for fans of things like Sports Team, Shame, The Murder Capital.
Oh, great stuff.
So they're actually going to be playing a stripped back set in the shop on the 19th of March.
It's going to be incredible.
That's going to be really good. So that is to celebrate their brand new single called Time Flies, which is the first single off their forthcoming album, which is coming out this year. So It's a really exciting year for Toy Car as well. It's going to be free tickets, but obviously the shop's only a certain size, so it's going to be very limited space. So if you head to Toy Car's Instagram, which is at Toy Car Music, you should be able to find out how you can get a little free spot and come and watch them perform a nice set in the shop. They're also playing in Manchester at Off the Square in the Northern Quarter on the 15th of March too. But yeah, love Toy Car, go check them out. And as always, we always add all of the bands that we're talking about to our Spotify playlist, so you can go to Spotify, check that out, save it, and we update it every Thursday with the podcast episodes too.
Awesome. I'm going to speak about Tender Claws. Born in Belfast, Tender Claws, now based in Liverpool. Grungy alternative rock inspired by artists she listened to whilst growing up, like Queens of the Stone Age, Pixies, Iggy Pop, Adam and the Ants. Pretty cool. The resulting sound is pretty gritty, pretty raw. They began releasing music in 2024 with Anglerfish, I'm a Leech, and most recently Inferno. She's working on more releases for 2025, and we are super excited to hear more. So yeah, please check out Tender Claws if you can. Great band.
Yeah, go listen to Inferno. That's a really good track. I
Yeah.
really like that.
For sure.
And then lastly, we wanted to share Blue Dolphin Wranglers.
Great name.
Excellent band name. Always love an animal-based band name. And so their sound, it's just all about good vibes. So they're a Liverpool-based funk pop 9-piece band fronted by songwriters Luke Doan and Joe Sloan. Great names all around. So yeah, they've got 2 tracks I recommend going and checking out. They've got more than 2 tracks, but the 2 tracks that I reckon you should go check out are called Wantin' and Take a Ride. We've had loads of sunshine in Liverpool recently, which has been very, very nice after a long, cold winter. And so yeah, they've just got a really, really good sonic accompaniment to all that lovely sunshine we've been having. So yeah, super funky, super vibey. And yeah, they're playing Cardiff Castle on the 26th of July alongside Kate Nash, Jess Glynn and Maximo Park. So amazing to see a local band like getting scooped up into the support slots into a really, really big gig. So that's really exciting for them. Yeah. And yeah, just excited to see what this year brings for them. But yeah, go check them out, put them on the playlist, and also you can stream their music wherever.
Great. If you are a local artist, like I say, please get in touch. Let us know who you are so we can listen to your music and shout you out on the podcast. Next, I think we're going to talk about some gigs.
Yeah, so it's always really hard, like trying to find all the local bands that are playing around the city. You kind of got to go and scroll through lots of different websites. So we thought we'd bring a couple of suggestions for you to put into your gig diary coming up this month. So kicking off, we've got Another Day playing at the Jacaranda Baltic. So yeah, Jacaranda opened up their new venue at the Baltic just over a year ago. They just celebrated their birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And they're playing on Thursday, the 20th of March. And they're kind of like an indie scuzzy sound. So if that sounds like a bit of you, then yeah, go check them out. Thursday, the 20th of March at Jacaranda Baltic. And tickets are £6.
Next, we are obviously going to have to talk about The Stamp.
Yes, which is tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. You've got to get yourself down to see The Stamp at District. So that's Friday the 14th of March. It's free, so you have no reason not to go. It's with Mel Bowen and the original series. Look, we saw them in November, and let me tell you, they're a great live. So if you're looking for good vibes, free entry, and some good beers, please get down to District and check out this amazing local band.
Also, tomorrow night, if you fancy something else or catching 2 gigs in one night, Quayside played the Arts Club, and they've got sort of like a jangly indie pop sound, and they're also been scooped up to play Sound City this year. Crazy. And they're also supporting Ocean Colour Scene and Cast at Salt and Tart in Bootle, which is the new venue there, so they're back with a summer of gigs as well. So yeah, Quayside, seen them cropping up quite a lot recently. BBC Music introducing, they did something really nice at St George's Hall. Yeah, I feel like they're going to have a really exciting year ahead of them.
Quayside are one of the hardest working local bands. They have been busking and being out on the street and releasing self-released EPs and things for years. They smash it, and I'm glad to see them getting the credit that they're due. And yeah, big up Quayside.
Yeah, so that's Arts Club, Friday the 14th of March. Go check it out. That's it. Thank you for listening once again. Next week, we have another special episode. So we're going to be joined by Alice, Rose and Tom from Shifu, who we've talked about in the very first episode of the podcast. Yeah. So they'll be performing in the shop, a couple of tracks, and we'll also be chatting to them about what this year brings for them in terms of music. Jess, they have some really exciting things coming up.
I'm so excited about this.
I'm really excited.
I can't wait.
Excited. We've been talking to Shifu for a couple of months about this, and I'm really excited that we can like get it in the diary that'll be happening. So yeah. We'll have them in the shop next week performing and an interview too. Great. And if that sounds like something that is right up your street, then I'd suggest going back to the previous episode and checking out The Stamp, who also did a live performance in the shop too.
And going forward, this is something that we're looking to do. So again, get in touch if that's something that you fancy. And yeah, I'm just super stoked. I can't wait to hear Smoke Show and Arizona. Like, I hope they play that. I think
is this your request?
Requesting.
They can play whatever tracks they like, and I'll be happy with anything. But yeah, super excited. So yeah, come back next Thursday, 5 p.m. New episodes on YouTube. You can also check it out on Spotify and Apple as well. Once again, thanks for listening. See you next time.
Take care.